Picture this, you're dropping thousands of meters straight down beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean. The sunlight completely fades out, the pressure just mounts incredibly, and eventually you're enveloped in total, absolute darkness. Now, this isn't science fiction. This is our own planet. And down there, just lurking in the muddy depths, are countless alien-like species that human eyes have quite literally never seen before. In this explainer, we're unpacking a massive new scientific discovery and, honestly, a looming global dilemma. We're in a race against time where the future of our green energy transition is colliding head-on with some of the most fragile, uncharted ecosystems on Earth. Now, when we talk about the deep ocean, we aren't just talking about a few unknown fish. The sheer scale of what we don't know is staggering. To put it into perspective, out of an estimated 5,600 species living in this specific region of the Pacific, a massive 90% of them are completely undescribed. They have no names, no scientific records, absolutely nothing. We practically know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the animals living right here in this abyssal zone. So where exactly is all this happening? Well, let's dive into the Clarion-Clipperton zone, or the CCZ. And we're not talking about some small patch of water here. The CCZ is this vast, remote expanse that covers about 6 million square kilometers of deep ocean floor. It stretches all the way from Hawaii to the west coast of Mexico. For the longest time, this area was just written off as a barren, muddy plain. But, as we're about to see, this massive stretch of darkness is suddenly drawing an intense amount of global interest, and it's rapidly transforming everything we thought we knew about deep sea life. And here's exactly why the whole world is suddenly paying attention to the CCZ. We are facing a fundamental, really tricky paradox. The ocean floor out there is absolutely littered with metallic nodules. These are little rock-like formations that contain minerals crucial for building green energy tech. You know, things like solar panels and wind turbines. Mining them could literally be the key to hitting our net zero climate goals. But on the flip side, we have these fragile, entirely unknown ecosystems living right on top of them. Because the deep sea is so poorly understood, there are serious, very real concerns that vacuuming up these nodules could irreversibly wipe out habitats before we even figure out what lives there. It's a massive dilemma, our green energy future versus preserving untouched nature. Because of that impending threat of deep sea mining, researchers are absolutely scrambling to understand what actually lives down there. And that brings us to a really crucial number, 24. Scientists have just discovered 24 brand new species of deep-sea crustaceans right there in the CCZ. This discovery is actually part of a massive, super urgent project aimed at naming 1,000 unknown deep-sea animals by the year 2030. It's a literal race against the clock to catalog this life before the mining machines potentially show up.
Okay, so what exactly did they find? They discover new species of a creature known as an amphipod. Now, if you aren't super familiar, amphipods are an incredibly diverse group of crustaceans, and there are more than 10,000 known species of them globally. They are just the ultimate survivors. I mean, they've adapted to almost every aquatic environment you can possibly think of, from dark, damp caves to freshwater to the salty ocean, and there are even some landhoppers that live in woodlands and just munch on leaf litter all day.
And their physical traits brilliantly illustrate just how wildly adaptable they really are. Amphipods come in an astonishing range of sizes. Some are just a few tiny millimeters long, but get this, the biggest species in the deep sea can actually grow larger than a small dog. Seriously, imagine a crustacean the size of a pug crawling around in the pitch black. Their lifestyles are just as bizarre. You have parasitic whale lice that literally hitch rides on marine mammals. You have scavengers that recycle nutrients to keep the whole ecosystem running. You've got active predators hunting worms with these large claws. And then you have species that just seemingly eat mud, literally extracting nutrients straight from the sediment. Before these recent expeditions, we only knew of 13 species of amphipods in the entire Clarion-Clipperton zone. But those 24 new discoveries? Yeah, they're really just a drop in the ocean. Environmental DNA testing actually suggests that there are probably well over 200 species of amphipods hiding right there in the mud of the CCZ. We are barely scratching the surface of what's lurking down there. So how do scientists actually find a tiny, pale crustacean in 6 million square kilometers of pitch black ocean? It's like finding a needle in the world's biggest haystack. Well, they use something called the box core method, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. First, they lower heavy equipment all the way down to extract a huge, literal cube of mud directly from the seabed. Second, they haul that incredibly heavy, muddy block all the way back up to the research ship. Third, they painstakingly wash and sieve all that mud.
And finally, they sort through whatever debris is left, meticulously searching for life among the mud and metallic nodules. That's exactly how Dr. Eva Stewart and her colleagues brought these pale, spindly-legged creatures up into the light for the very first time. Once they are pulled from the abyss, these specimens are carefully preserved and shipped off to museums around the world, like the Natural History Museum in London. But finding them is really only half the battle. How do you officially describe and name them? It takes highly, highly specialized skills. And unfortunately, there's a massive backlog building up because there just aren't enough scientists trained in this specific kind of taxonomy. To tackle this bottleneck, researchers actually gathered for an intensive, week-long collaborative workshop at the University of Lodz in Poland. They pulled all their expertise together to just blast through the difficult process of officially naming these new species. And this brings up a really fantastic piece of insight from Dr. Eva Stewart about that gathering in Poland. She pointed out something super special. Out of the 16 scientists in that room, 14 of them were women. She noted that this is incredibly uncommon in what has traditionally been a heavily male-dominated field. It's just really inspiring to see how the face of deep-sea marine biology is evolving almost as rapidly as the science itself, fostered by these highly collaborative, training-focused workshops. Now, here's where the science gets a little bit of personality. When you get to name a brand new species, you actually get to have a bit of fun with it. Some of the inspirations behind these newly published names are just great. You have Mirabestia maisie, which was lovingly named after co-lead researcher Dr. Tammy Horton's daughter. Then you have Elamedon braviclunus, which is a little more literal. It was actually named to reflect the creature's very distinctive short rump. And then there's my absolute favorite, Lepidopacrium myla. This one was inspired by Myla, a character from the very popular video game Hollow Knight, because, as the scientists put it, both the video game character and the amphipod are just little arthropods trying to survive in total darkness.
But the team didn't just stop at naming individual species, which is impressive enough on its own. They actually achieved something monumental. Dr. Tammy Horton explained that the researchers were able to name higher levels of the tree of life entirely, including a brand new family and a new superfamily. Guys, this is a massive deal in marine biology. Finding a new superfamily is incredibly rare. It means they haven't just found a new leaf on the tree of life, they found an entirely new branch. It's kind of like discovering not just a new type of cat, but an entirely new type of mammal. It makes this entire expedition a truly historic discovery that reshapes our understanding of ocean biodiversity. So what does this all mean, and why does it matter so urgently right now? It circles right back to that massive mining threat we talked about earlier. As Dr. Stewart emphasizes, we quite literally cannot protect what we do not know exists. This specialized field of taxonomy, the incredibly tedious process of identifying and naming these creatures, is an absolute prerequisite for assessing the environmental impact of any future deep-sea mining. If we don't have a baseline of what lives in the Clarion-Clipperton zone today, we're going to have absolutely no way to track what we might lose if those heavy mining machines start tearing up the seafloor tomorrow. Which leaves us with the ultimate, really difficult question of this explainer. Can we achieve net zero without destroying the deep? We desperately need these green energy minerals to transition away from fossil fuels, and millions of tons of them are sitting right there on top of these incredibly diverse, newly discovered, and mostly completely unnamed alien ecosystems. By naming these 24 incredible creatures, scientists have finally given the abyss a face, transforming what we thought was just a barren mud plain into a vibrant ecosystem fighting for its survival. It is a wildly complex, high-stakes balancing act for humanity, and it's one we are going to have to solve very, very soon. Thanks for diving into the depths with us today. Stay curious and keep exploring.